50,000. That's not a big number for people who use this website habitually. We are very accustomed to hundreds of thousands, to millions, even hundreds of millions of subscribers. But imagine for just a second. 100 people in one room. It's a lot of people. That's a big room. Now imagine 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 people all in one room who decided to click that button to subscribe, to enjoy your content, your art, your work, whatever you want to call it. And I don't have to imagine it because I'm living it. A couple months ago, I hit 50,000 subscribers. And most people like to give just endless platitudes of, thank you, I never would have achieved this, you know, the typical spiel. But I did promise a big fat 50,000 Q&A, and here it is. So consider this my thank you. Check out the sick Popeye shirt I got, the gangsta Popeye. Liferous777 asks, what's your favorite Some Ordinary Gamer's haunted gaming creepypasta reading? That's kind of a tough question because Mudahar's done a lot of haunted gaming creepypasta readings. If I may be a little bit of a contrarian, my favorite is actually a troll pasta. It was this one here. I'll put a thumbnail up on the side here somewhere. It was a troll pasta where he read this horrible, god-awful, giant Pokemon creepypasta about like a spooky Snorlax. It's a long one, so I actually recommend you go see it instead. DJ Deadpig, fan of the channel, asks, what is your favorite ARG or creepypasta and your worst ARG or creepypasta? I can definitively say for the worst creepypasta, that's a little bit of a tough question. Most creepypastas are pretty bad, but one that I've recently covered on my second channel, Pokemon Dead Channel. It's not good. It's like Sonic.exe, which is already bad, but worse. Basslight Baitkeep Boyboss asks, I don't have a question, but congratulations, man. 50,000 is a big deal. Thank you, Basslight Baitkeep Boybass. It is a big deal. It took it just took just about an entire year of doing this almost without pay and tirelessly to hit 50,000. This year, I'm a little bit behind the times. I have a little bit more than 50, but it's certainly, it's not something you can really realistically picture, especially at the start when, for a while, when you just start doing something like this, you don't get anywhere. My first almost dozen videos went nowhere, really. Some of which aren't even available on the channel anymore, and they're not going to be. Ian Ellis LLC asks, who's your favorite Jim Norton character, and don't you dare say Chip. So this one might require a bit of explaining. If you don't know, he's talking about Jim Norton, a comedian, allegedly, who was, I think he was like a guest and then a co-host on Opie and Anthony, an old radio show happening in the late 90s, early 2000s. He was infamous for a lot of characters he did. Chip referencing his most famous character, Chip Chipperson. But I gotta say, I think my favorite Norton character was that fortune teller lady. I don't remember her name, but he did like a bit of like predicting Ant's future that I thought was really funny. This whole segment might just be total dead air to anyone who's not into Opie and Anthony, but I know some of you are, because I do reference it, and I'm going to keep doing that. Young Rose 6338 asks, SMT vid when? I make it no secret, I'm a fan of the Shin Megami Tensei series from Atlas, specifically mostly like the late 2000s, early 10, like Nocturne, especially SMT4, Devil Survivor. If I ever do a Shin Megami Tensei video, it is almost definitely gonna be on 4, as it's the one I started with. I put 100 hours into it right at the start. I don't know if 4 Apocalypse is gonna follow that. Like, there's some games I want to cover, but I'm not really sure if I always want to do the sequel of said games. It's a bit, you know, some sequels don't work as well as I find. It's also a bit of a mixed bag. I am like maybe, and I do mean like maybe, so don't get your hopes up for some maybe Strange Journey, maybe Digital Devil Saga. I'm just not sure, to be honest. I'll have to, I have a lot of projects I want to do before I do any SMT stuff, but SMT4 will happen at some point in this channel. Promise. Panco Pescado Fishman asks, how's your day? Thank you, it's actually been going pretty well. I'm currently recording this October 1st of 2024, the very beginning of a spooky month. So it's going alright. I can't complain. I'm not working, I'm doing my other job, so I'm happy to be honest. Katen917 asks, have you discovered your purpose? That is a very broad question. Have I discovered the purpose for the channel or like my purpose in life? Purpose of the channel, well, it's happening right now. I like talking about video games and creepypastas, you know, the strange, obscure, underrated, sometimes all three of those things. As in purpose for life, doesn't really have a lot to do with the channel. You know, I do have a personal life despite how much I upload and how long I upload. I mean, I might make like a second channel for that purpose that some of you might already know, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Flamewheel64 asks, what's your favorite video you've made? Easily the second part of the Mario ARG. Everything about that was so cool. When I had uploaded the first one, I wasn't really sure what to expect. It actually came from a separate video. I was going to do around a 30-minute video discussing like different things of Mario horror. It was going to be I Hate You, the creepypasta, and probably the fan game. It was going to be the Mario ARG, and then it was going to be the Mario Coronation Day video. And I decided a little bit into development, split them up. I think it'd be a great idea. And it was a great idea, because those are some of my biggest videos. But when I had uploaded the first part of the Mario ARG, I came in contact with some really cool people. I met the creator of said ARG in the comments section, and when I uploaded and finished the second part of that Mario ARG, I got 100,000 a day. That's a high and like a status I've never gotten again. I don't even know if I'll get it again. That was such a weird fluke. But I feel like anyone making a video on solving the Mario ARG has to include at least the comment from the creator in my video. Now it's like mainstream. Some people did know. I did not solve anything. I want to make that abundantly clear. I just helped make that mainstream, which is so cool. I can really think that I was at least a little bit involved in solving the Mario ARG, even if I got a lot of information wrong in the first part. Kentrell Armstrong 5516 asks, what are your favorite video games to play? Also, what are the movies and shows you watched? So, I'm actually really bad at organizing my personal favorite video games list. That'll come perhaps a bit later, but I can tell you games I play consistently. Forgive me. The games I play consistently, I play TF2 almost every single day of my life. Mostly MVM. Probably gonna get way more into like Scream Fortress this year. I'm looking forward to that. And as for casual games, I mean, come on. I grew up in the 2000s. I gotta boot up Pokemon in an emulator every so often. I play a lot of Ratchet & Clank, sometimes emulated, sometimes the PS3 version. Original hardware if I'm feeling nostalgic. As for movies and shows, I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm not a movie person. I just find that most movies coming out now are shit and not really worth my time. As for TV shows, I actually do watch a fair bit of television with my friend. The ones I've mostly been watching, you know, here and there, I've been rewatching The Sopranos like I do basically every year. I was watching CW's Flash, which is actually not even bad. At least the first 3 seasons are not bad. The Flash was a good show. Backbun asks, hey Peter. There's a clap emoji in there. When are we going to have the haunted media into the universe of analog horror? You would love some Val Verde, Local 58, and Gemini Home Entertainment. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. So, sorry to disappoint, but analog horror stuff is not coming back ever. Yeah, I'm gonna be completely dead transparent. Mostly the only reason I made the South Park one, I kinda needed rent money. It's, looking back at it now, it's not good. I hate the South Park one a lot. I hate the Urban Spook one even more. I just find what I was doing with the analog horror videos was really just trashy and sloppy. I don't think it was the best show of my abilities, where I would just play the video and then do such like lazy commentary over it. It almost felt like I was stealing it. Like someone actually could have gotten that engagement versus like the garbage video I made on it. So unless I'm about to be homeless, which I don't plan on being, analog horror stuff is never happening. And following that question, MemeMan9076 asks, hey, what happened to the South Park analog horror video? I was trying to find it and share it with someone, but it seems to be gone. So that video is unlisted. I hate that video a lot, and it disgusted me so much that I just didn't want it on the channel, to be honest. If you have the link, I don't care what you do with it. You can share it with who you want. If you have it, you can download it and re-upload it if you really want to. I actually don't care. It is on my Patreon if you really wanted to see it, but it's just such balls. I hate that. That might be my least favorite video ever, honestly. It's just so lazy. I made it in like a week. The fact that it actually got views made me so mad. And now that I think about it, it might not have been like a fully serious project. I wonder if like the guy making that ARG was like shitposting. Ah! Oh, sorry, this is me in post. 31 Patrick asks, here's a pretty good question. What's on your Patreon? This is the part where you transition to your Patreon ad or something. Well, thank you. Everyone who's subscribed does know I love to grift. You want to talk about what's on my Patreon? Well, I can tell you right now, I give you almost monthly updates, what I'm doing, what videos I plan to do, and so much more, a private insight that no one else gets. I also have exclusive Patreon content, stuff I have not uploaded onto YouTube. I have an hour-and-a-half long video review of Hatred, too edgy to be on YouTube. You like the sound of that? It's on Patreon. That video is actually free. I have my own mini review series called Peter Reviews, give like short video reviews of something. I don't update this very often, I forget. And you can get all of my videos ad-free and uploaded several days early. All for the low price of like $2.50 for the lowest membership and $7.50 for the Jawcoin Appreciator tier that gets you your name in the video. Listen, the more money I make, the more videos I get to put out for everyone to enjoy. Simple as. More funds they have, the better they're gonna get. It's that simple. I've even got some Patreon goal rewards. They may seem lofty, but hey, who knows, maybe one day you can get a very detailed review of Demonophobia. If you know what that game is, you know. Alright, enough with the Patreon ads, thank you, but back to the regular Q&A. Frieza240 asks, will you be doing more Sonic/Pokemon horror videos? Also, congrats on the milestone. For Sonic, yeah, I will probably do some more Sonic stuff. I can't say exactly when. I may or may not have something planned for this month, but we'll have to kind of see how that develops. It might be more of a second channel thing. There's a lot of Sonic stuff just because that community's prevalence for, you know, in like horror content, because Sonic.exe, as much as it sucks ass and literally everything it inspired sucks too, it's still kind of a pillar of internet horror, as regrettable as it is to say such a thing. As for Pokemon, there's honestly not a lot of Pokemon horror games I'm really interested in covering. There's definitely ones with themes that are fun, like I'm a big fan of Pokemon Insurgent. It's one of those three. I used to play that back in the day. I played that like 100% twice. That one's about like cults and people dying. It's a fun time. Don't think I really want to cover it though. Great Mama asks, hi, I was wondering if you know of the game Who's Lila and if you've played it. If not, would you ever consider doing so? Oh boy. Believe me, I know what Who's Lila is. And it's something I absolutely plan on covering, but not for a while. Because when that video does happen, shit will hit the fan, because that game, calling it crazy, strange, these words all pale in comparison. This is a nutty game, to say the least. I've definitely heard of it, I have played it, but you're gonna have to bear with me. It's gonna be a while whenever I get around to it, and even longer when I start working on it. It's gonna be a big project. Emmanuel B7M asks, hey, can you cover El Pandra Prazul, the first Sonic, even before Sonic.exe? So what that means is that Sonic.exe was not the first Sonic creepypasta like many people think it was. I don't remember the exact order, but there was this Spanish Sonic creepypasta. It was, I think it translated to something called the Blue USB, something like that. And I have been in communications with someone who has been filling me in. I think I will do something about it, just not sure if I want to read it plainly on the second channel, make it a bit more in-depth. I don't know what to do with the information, but that will be made into a video at some point. I'm just not sure when to start it or fill it in. Bad to the Bone Man 5691 asks, are we getting more coverage of the Postal series? Came across your channel today, you the man, baby. Oh, believe me, Postal is absolutely getting more videos. We'll just tell you right now, I will be covering Postal 2. Not this year, but Postal 2 is getting its own video. That I can promise you. And as for the rest of the series, I already kinda covered Postal Redux on the Postal 1 video, so likely not. As for Postal 3, I'm not really sure that's something the channel would fit. Like, it's not really horror themed at all. Mind you, Postal 2 moved away from them, but I still think it's there in the DNA, and there's still stuff to comment from the transition from 1 to 2, but Postal's transition as a franchise from 2 to 3 requires a lot of backstory that I don't know if it's that interesting to cover, where it can just be summed up as TLDR, Russia is stupid, but I will certainly keep 3 in the back pocket. As for Brain Damaged in 4, no, most likely not. I don't have much to say about Brain Damaged. It's a fun boomer shooter, or I guess movement shooter more accurately. It's cool, I just don't have a lot to say about it. And 4 is not a finished video game. I don't care how finished they say it is, it's not finished. So give it another 5 years until Running with Scissors is actually able to finish it. CH Gepedizone Halloween 6229, that's kind of a mouthful of a name, asks, are there any obscure games that you will never talk about for any particular reason? There's a couple that I have been requested to talk about, and mostly the reason that I wouldn't talk about such an obscure game is either A, it's just not interesting enough or not lengthy enough to really be turned into a video. I really try and hit that kind of feature length with very rare exceptions, so I don't know if something like a 5-minute game is really worth talking about. And there is some stuff that's actually genuinely dangerous, like Sad Satan, if you guys remember that game. I don't really want to talk about it because people already know the gist of it, and depending on which version you get, there is a lot of not okay material in there that I don't even want to tempt having on my computer. If you know, you know. But I think you can watch the video by the now cancelled YouTuber Mama Max to figure that out. If that video is archived somewhere, I don't know if it's still online. Go1 DSH Schmidston asks, can you make a video on Postal Eternal Damnation? That's a fun one. Eternal Damnation for Postal 2 is a much more horror themed mod for Postal 2. I think it's a mod, or is it a total conversion? Whatever. It's interesting. I don't know if it'd fit the best in a regular Postal 2 video, but Eternal Damnation is always something I've been very interested in, but that might, if I ever get around to talking about a bunch of DLC specifically for Postal 2, that might be its own thing, and if I do, I'll have to talk about Corkscrew Rules, which is not a prospect I'm super fond of, but I mean, I know what I signed up for doing a Postal 2 thing. Snazzy to the Max asks, very important question. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Your answer will change the outcome of your entire existence, obviously. That's a tough one, because you have your staples, you have mint chocolate, strawberry. Those are great, boring answers. But the two that always have to be combating against my mind are either cookie dough or maple walnut. And it all depends on chunks. If the cookie dough chunks are very, very big, then it's cookie dough ice cream. But if the maple walnut chunks are very small, it's maple walnut. I want more chunks of cookie than ice cream. So if that balance is not respected, I'm not eating that shit. But I want more maple flavor than walnuts in my mouth. And if that balance is not respected, I'm not eating that shit either. Trivia Dex asks, so, I know that it doesn't really work well with the content of your channel, but I've noticed that you're familiar with the Zero Escape series. What's your overall opinion on it, and are you going to make a video about it? I also need more people to know about this gem of a franchise. I do have to protest a little bit. I feel like Zero Escape would fit actually perfectly, and I've thought that since the beginning, because I absolutely plan on making Zero Escape videos. Not sure when. I'm never always sure of the timeline of these things. I'm working it out right now, but I think it would work best if I got an individual one. I feel like it would work best if we got an individual video for each game. 999, Virtue's Last Reward, Zero Time Dilemma. It would just make the most sense, and it would also make the most sense to use the Nonary Games version that's on PC, so I don't have to finagle with DS capture cards, God forbid, or use just an emulator, which just never turns out nice on video. And as for my brief opinions on Zero Escape, I think ZTD is the best. Zero Time Dilemma is my favorite one. I don't think anyone else on the planet shares that opinion with me, but that's my favorite by a long shot, closely followed by 999, and then a little bit of a gap, then Virtue's Last Reward. Mostly because I felt like the story was kind of wonky in VLR, not a lot of the cast really struck with me, and I felt the opposite for ZTD. I felt like I liked that cast the most, and everything about the aesthetic. Some of the writing is a bit, I liked Delta though. I can't explain why, because that is a lot of spoilers, but I love Delta. XX Marshadow 901 asks, I have been watching since the 9-hour Strange Games 2023 edition video, and I'm wondering what drives you to make content like this, or how you even find these games. Well, this is a story people have told time and time again, and you'll hear again. That someone who's around 10 years old goes on the internet in the late 2000s and finds the trailblazers of this field. People like Angry Video Game Nerd, Nostalgia Critic, Spoonie, people like that is what really started and inspired me, at the beginning at least. And I find that this whole process of scripting my thoughts on a game, recording and editing it together, and just giving my opinion, I find it incredibly rewarding for me. That it's not something I can entirely explain with my vocabulary, but I just find uploading it and having people discuss it, talk about it, agree or disagree, is much more fulfilling than just playing the game raw. And as to how I find these games, well, a lot of them are retrospectives in that I've played them before. Some of these games I actually grew up on. Some of them I just found for the first time. And that's just a lot of the taste I have. I like the more, I guess, the darker, obscure, some role-playing stuff. Even if I've covered some mainstream things before, I just find that other side of the coin for video games a lot more appealing than the mainstream stuff. I'm Not the Kid, You Know What I Mean asks, what's your favorite game? Easy, TF2. No questions asked. I've been playing it for over a decade. It's like one of the only games to make me continue playing that long, and it's probably the only multiplayer game I ever play, again and again. I'm not a fan of multiplayer games. I find dealing with communities just a giant pain in the ass, but TF2 is so funny and so consistently good that it overrides all of that. Soul of Wolf 9906 asks, hey Peter, what'd you eat for breakfast today? If you skipped breakfast like a heathen, what'd you do for lunch? What the fuck? Okay. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that profile? So, before I even answer the question, I need to point out, this guy's profile picture is a picture of Curious George, the chimp, kissing the man in the... kissing the man in the yellow hat. Where did you find that? Who made that? Why would you put it as your profile picture? As for breakfast, I'm a very boring person. I eat almost the exact same thing for breakfast every day. 2 fried eggs, oatmeal with some fruit, and then steak. I don't know. It's something about that. I just get protein and get a variety of taste. I put fruit in my oatmeal, usually berries or cherries, maybe strawberries and bananas, so I'm feeling edgy. Sometimes I swap out the steak for some tuna or sardines, some kind of fishy protein, but I always gotta have eggs in the morning. I feel like it's super easy to make because you just make all the steak at once. You fry it up, then you can reheat a single slice in a pan. I usually get like a cut of inner round steak. It's just big enough to be one strip of like sandwich meat, so to speak. So I just find all that together is really nice. Sometimes I'm feeling really lazy, I can skip the oatmeal and fruit, put it in like a sandwich. That's also really tasty. But that's basically what I have every single day. I find it really fills me, gives me energy, which I need to do because I'm so busy all the time. Terribly Terrified asks, since you like reusing video game OSTs in videos, not that there's anything wrong with that, it got me curious. What are your personal favorite video game songs, and why? Thanks. I do like to reuse music. It's something I hate looking for music. It's one of my bottom 5 worst parts of the job you can ever ask for doing this. But as to my favorite songs, I personally like the vibes. I'm all about atmosphere and vibes. So something like Wandering Flame for Final Fantasy X, What was the one from Ratchet & Clank called? I think it was called like Tabora Mining Area, like the desert planet and Going Commando. That one's really good. Like half of Zelda Twilight Princess's OST is amazing. I use it all the time. Yume Nikki has really good songs to use. I use it all the time for creepypasta stuff. Just songs that are infinitely replayable that just get me stuck in my own head. They just let me space out where I can just go flat on a bed and enjoy myself. There is a specific Yume Tuki song, not Nikki, the sequel game, the fan one, Tuki, that I really enjoy. I think it's just called Beyond on YouTube. Just give it a listen. It is way too atmospheric and slow for a little bit more upbeat video like this. But I used to spend a lot of time last year just blowing that song on my headphones, laying in bed, and just spacing out. Just forgetting I was even in my own body. I don't want to say it was like astral projecting, but I was genuinely feeling like an out-of-body experience half the time. I promise you, you will not regret listening to that song. Max Aboba asks, do you pay your taxes? Yes, I do, unfortunately. It sucks ass at the start, but so far I'm just filing everything under self-employment. It's actually a lot more simple than you'd think. When you do YouTube as a Canadian, which unfortunately I do have the affliction of the rake, you have to file, or technically file, with American taxes with the IRS as well. But the deal is you just file it once, they take a certain percentage of your income, and then you never have to look at it again. As far as I know, that's what I do. I've done it twice, and no one shut up my door and killed me, so I'm doing pretty good. Go one Deshmidin. Fuck his name, man. What is his name? Do you love Euphoria VN? I can't say I love Euphoria VN as to reasons why I don't love it. Just look it up on YouTube yourself, you know, at your own discretion. That is a very particular game, I have to say. I don't love it. A lot of it is kind of just shock factor, more gross than insightful. There is a point. It's not just endless scares for no reason, but I feel like there's other visual novels that do kind of the same thing better. It's just, I don't know. It's okay. It's just very shocking and very easy to put as an example when you need to talk about something very graphic. The Angry Grunt asks, bit late, do you like Toho? I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what Toho is. I've probably put something in my videos that has a Toho and not realized it. I think it's like, I don't know, it's like a series of like shmups, like shoot 'em ups, I think? But it's just wildly popular. There's so much like fan content about it. It is weirdly everywhere. It's hard to explain, but it's like everywhere. I don't really understand it. It's not something I care about or want to be interested in. I see a lot of people with Toho profile pictures in my comments section. That's all I'll say. Anna asks, this may be a strange and autism-fueled question, but have you ever heard of or played Friday Night Funkin' Mario's Madness? I know you said you dislike Friday Night Funkin' horror mods, but it's honestly closer to a homage of Mario and creepypasta in general. No. I have never played of Mario's Madness. I've heard of it, I've seen it in comments section a couple times. I have not seen video footage, I am not interested in it, and I will never play Friday Night Funkin' as long as this channel's up. Maybe if I'm really broke and rent is due. Maybe. But yeah, no, I have like negative interest in Friday Night Funkin' to the point where seeing it or hearing about it or even thinking about it like actively takes away from something I love. Like every time I think about Friday Night Funkin', a brain cell just pops in my head. I don't know, Friday Night Funkin' just consumes so much creepypasta and like internet horror stuff and prevents it from really being interesting to me. Like something that could be an interesting story or drawing or fan game. It's like, nope, gotta make it a garbage, ugly, stupid mod with an ugly sounding, awful song that looks like shit and sounds fucking awful. But I'm gonna have a giant fan base of porn addicted children for some reason. Kato asks, what game have you put the most time into and how many hours have you put in total? Again, TF2, I have over 2,000 hours in this game. Easy. I will say there are a couple games I played so much I broke either the carts or discs. Drawn to Life the Next Chapter, I ruined my copy forever. I also ruined my original copy of Ratchet & Clank Going Commando on the PS2. The game just wouldn't load. I literally broke it by how many times I played it. That's how much I loved it as a kid. Mace Yoshi Man asks, "Hey Peter, brace yourself for my novel of a question." Okay. "I recently stumbled across your channel and have come really enjoy your work. I find that your videos have a very good flow to them, which makes them very easy to watch/listen to. I was curious as to what content creators/videos inspire you to make your own videos. Do you have any that you loved to watch growing up, or is there anyone you aspire to be like?" Kind of surprised how long it took to get to that kind of question, but yes, absolutely. Someone who inspired me as a kid and still inspires me is Subordinary Gamers. My entire channel and style of content would not exist without Mutahara Nas. End of discussion. Literally my favorite channel. He's the reason I started it. Easy. But there are other people I watch a lot for inspiration, both ways, big and small. My two favorites at the current moment for this style of content, as well as just how they present themselves, are Madular and Marsh. Those two channels, much better channels than mine, much more consistent quality. I find so much replay value. I take so much of my inspiration for games. I don't know, it's just hard to explain. These guys are really good at what they do, so if you like me, watch these two guys. They're really good. Marsh does a lot more SMT Atlas stuff, plays all the games that I don't want to play, because... Sorry man, SMT1 sucks. I don't care who hears it. SMT1 is not a fun game. Atlas did not make good video games until Nocturne. Madular has a lot more role-playing stuff. He inspired me to get into more RPGs later on. He does a lot more like old school. He's doing Ultima right now, which is very interesting. And there is a certain style of person. I do have more inspirations that I don't directly take from. I find a lot of value in watching someone like Liam Triforce. I'm not really a Nintendo person anymore. I don't specifically watch for Nintendo stuff, but I find his kind of branding and presentation is very good. You can be inspired by someone not just via content and just what they do, but the way they generally present themselves, how they brand themselves, how their consistency. You can take inspiration from a certain person, but not really enjoy their stuff. Like, I remember when I was kind of rebuilding my channel brand, I watched a lot of Pyrocynical. Do not recommend doing that. Not because I liked him. It's the opposite. I actually fucking hate everything he's ever done in the last, when was the Condemned video? I don't like his channel or him as a person, but I do find that kind of style and way of presentation is just very influential. So I did take some notes. Only some of them. I did throw half of those notes out. Chaos Mash asks, "Any chance you're still working on the other retrospectives of BlazBlue?" So I got a couple questions like this, and I want to get them out all the way. The BlazBlue videos are not cancelled. Absolutely not. They are not going anywhere, but I'm just not sure when to start. See, the thing is that the Calamity Trigger one, well, it just didn't do well. Granted, at the time, I did not have a great reaction to it. I was kind of a punk-made bitch. But, you know, now I'm older and wiser, and I know what I'm doing a lot more. So I just need to find time. I don't mind kind of taking an L. It's not really about the money. It's not the fact the video wasn't profitable. I don't entirely care. As long as I can pay my bills and save money, I don't care how it happens. But I just didn't really market Calamity Trigger well, and I'm not really sure how many people would specifically watch Continuum Shift. I do want to work on it. I just need to find a time where I have a big upload with a lot of views and money I can kind of sit on to settle and just put aside a month or two to work on it consistently. I just don't know when that point is. I would love to do it, believe me. I'm just not sure when. Naryosh asks, "Where are you from and what's your background? Like, what do you do professionally and what do you study?" Okay, I can give like a late introduction. Why not? So, my name is Peter. I'm a 23-year-old Canadian living in Ontario. My background, a little bit weird. I went to college, or initially once I graduated high school, I was actually volunteering at a funeral home, at like a morgue. I was going to be like a funeral associate. I was very burned when I realized that it's mostly just an office cubicle job. Sometimes you get to like deal with bodies, but how they all work is that funeral homes are always family owned and they are staunchly traditional. So I had to like cut my hair when I had to volunteer there back like when I was 17. And the thing is, most people don't get to deal with body stuff. I was gonna deal with it because I thought it was like a nice lucrative stream of revenue that no one would really want. No, every funeral home ever just has that one weird guy who does all the bodies, and then you just eat shit for 10 years doing a fucking office job. So I bounced off of that. I went to college for computer programming, which is the story you will often hear, that someone who goes to college doing computer programming or sciences gets totally burned and never wants to do it. Yeah, I'm just another example of that. I fucking hate programming. I really hate it. I wish I never did it, because I drained thousands of dollars and wasted years of my life I'll never get back. I have mentioned a couple times, I do have a second job. I'm a butcher. Butcher in training, more officially. But it's kind of a weird thing to mention, like, oh, you know, when you picture a YouTube person, someone very, I guess, kind of asthmatic, a little bit indoor person, and you wouldn't just expect a very blue-collar, I don't know the word for it, but you wouldn't expect someone to have a kind of job like butcher, working with meat and cutting up meat. I'm still in training, so I can't really go off-leash and go cut meat wherever, so to speak. I'm still very much learning. It's quite the learning process. It's a very expensive thing to teach someone, because you have to experiment with them cutting meat and using equipment to do so. It's a very interesting field, and I hope, ideally, in a perfect world, I will have enough experience to be a backup as a butcher if this ever fails. I mean, if I really need to, I can quit one of these things to do the other, just so I have a source of revenue to pay my rent. But what I really want to do is work enough to get that kind of experience that I can always put on a resume, and then quit that job and then do YouTube 100% of my time. I would want nothing more than that. It's just not feasible at the moment. It would be feasible if people watched more and gave me more money on Patreon, though, so I think you know what to do. Cough, cough. Must have had a frog in my throat. Juan Riot asks, was there ever a time when you were a low-spec gamer with a crappy PC? If so, what game did you play, and what was your lowest playable, tolerable frame rate? Ah, good times. So I didn't really get a good gaming PC until I was like 17, to be honest. When I bought one a little after high school for college, yeah, I didn't really get a good one until then. So there was a while when I started seriously PC gaming around 13, I want to say. 13 to 16 on just garbage, pieces of trash. I was playing TF2, Half-Life, Scribblenauts Unlimited, Saints Row. I got really into Saints Row. I tried to play Calamity Trigger. Don't recommend doing it on a piece of shit PC. I don't even recommend doing it on a good PC. But I used to play so much Shadow Warrior 1 and 2 that it wasn't even funny. Like, it was bad how much I played Shadow Warrior 2. That game is really good looking. Came out in 2016 when I was 15. I got it for Christmas with money, but yeah, that had to be 30 frames. No, not even 30. I think it was like 20 frames. And there'd be times that game would outright freeze, and my PC was just dying, begging for mercy, begging to be shot. But no, I played it for 200 hours over the course of several years. May that PC rest in paradise. I put that thing through the ringer. I also played a shitload of emulated Pokemon and Pokemon fan games. Frunk asks, what is your opinion on Postal 4? Oh man, so it's pretty clear that Running with Scissors just wanted to do Postal 2, and Postal 4 was the result, and we kind of had a harsh awakening to find out, wow, they don't have money or potentially competent programmers. Like, making games is hard, okay? It's really hard. I have a lot of sympathy for people who do make games, but Postal 4 launched in such a bad state. Just seeing all the reviews of the game just doesn't work and things are bugged. It sucked. Like, Postal was at least Postal 2 onwards, it was always a pretty buggy, glitchy series, but most of the glitches in Postal 2 were entertaining and funny. It was like water physics were fucked up, or like ragdoll physics. Not the game doesn't work kind of funny. That isn't funny at all, that pisses me off. They've been trying to patch the game in all fairness, and I don't know, I feel like if you print it on a PlayStation 4 disc, it should probably just come out and usually finished. But I don't know, Running with Scissors is still trying to fix the game. It's going to be a while until they do, and then when they do, maybe I'll play more of it. Widmark asks, why did you split off the creepypasta readings? You said you were going to be like Muda, but I didn't think this is what you meant. Earlier this year, I started doing a lot more creepypasta readings, and I decided to stop doing it on the main channel and put it on the second channel, which I'll put like an image here or something. I stopped doing that because the way YouTube algorithm works, it just fucks everything up. So picture it like this. I'll do my regular uploads, which get anywhere from like 20,000 to 100,000 views per se. We'll ballpark it there. I can consistently pull that number, so it's going to recommend it to that at least level of consistency. But the creepypasta readings, not much of a demand for, right? Well, those are going to pull maybe 10,000 max, usually below. So my other stuff I put a lot more effort into that I used to pay bills and I'm actually proud of doesn't get shown to anyone. So that series running concurrently just kind of shoots me in the foot, so to speak. So I decided to create that second channel just to split things off right then and there, so I have totally unrestricted freedom to upload whatever kind of creepypasta thing I wanted to there. Go check it out there. That's where I upload all the creepypasta stuffs. I just uploaded there recently. I try and do one once a week, but I usually fall off the wagon pretty hard. So kind of a big TLDR for this. Creepypasta readings do unfortunately kind of shoot you. I really wish it wasn't this way, but I do want to have a balance of a bit more serious business side, but also fun. You know, I'm mostly here for the fun. If I cared only about money, I'd be a lawyer right now. YouTube is not a good option for that. Person who does things 3075 asks, Mario or Luigi? So a lot of people take their little Italian gang wars between Mario or Luigi. And for years and years, I always picked Luigi because I had a weird complex where I would always pick or choose the sidekick or like the second banana character. I liked Luigi more than Mario, I liked Tails more than Sonic, still kind of do, I liked Robin more than Batman, etc. But as the years go by, sorry, Mario's the Chad, end the discussion, come on. Look at him, he's in red. I don't even usually like red, but it's better than green. Typical Furry asks, how did you react upon some of your most popular videos blowing up? Worst Analog Horror, the Mara videos, the Batman video, etc. So, Worst Analog Horror, I'm gonna be honest, I did expect that to blow up because it was a very trending topic at the time. It still kind of is. So yeah, no, I made that for money, absolutely, it sucks, but well, it got over 1 million views. Mind you, it got limited ads around 400,000, so I missed out on maybe $3,000 worth of stuff. You know, c'est la vie, who cares? And I've already explained the Mario videos, I really wasn't expecting that to blow up. But the fact it did, and that's kind of what I'm known for, past the Analog Horror one, it's right here. It's right in the soul, in the heart. The Batman video is kind of awkward, because it was the first video I ever had that actually went viral. It's got a very boilerplate title and thumbnail that anyone would just search up and click. I don't know why I don't go back to that one when I'm struggling with views. I actually nailed it the first time. I don't understand why I can't do it again. But looking back at it now, wow, it is really not great. Terrible audio quality. It just sounds like shit all the time. I'm shocked people did not complain about that more. Jacksonville Phil asks, what is a video you really want to do that you have not gotten around to yet? Okay, there is a lot of videos I want to do that I either haven't gotten around to, I just don't know when to do, or how to do it, or even if it would fit. It's not currently on my slate, but I'll use this question as a jumping off point for several videos I want to do, usually about games, that I'm just not sure when. So there's several whole series I want to cover. I want to do something about Mega Man Zero, very nostalgic for that game series, but it just requires so much backstory explanation for X and maybe the original. It's not a great fit for the channel either. It's not strange or obscure or underrated. Everyone knows those games and likes them. Same thing, I want to do a trilogy for Shadow Warrior, because I really liked the reboot trilogy, more so the second one, but still, it's one I kind of want to get around to. I've always wanted to do a Poochie and Pansy one. I did a live stream about that some people joined, but I feel like it'd be really easy to do and just crank out an hour-long, very easy, just record some websites and do some basic commentary kind of creepypasta video. I don't know when I'll get around to that, but at some point I will. There are tons of games that I'm not sure if I should make videos on that I'm kind of on the fence on, you know, stuff like Flower, Sun, and Rain, Killer 7, probably Who's Lila, more SMT stuff. You know, as I get older, some things will be like, it's not worth it. Some games are just a bit too popular. You know, I'm kind of a hipster in that way, where I don't really want to make a video on a game that everyone knows about, unless it's You by Nikki, because I totally did do that, and it was one of my favorite videos, actually. Cute Little Muffin Salas asks, has there been a game or topic that is too unsettling to make a video of? Also, what's the name of the music that plays in those Adult Swim-like bumpers you add in some of your videos? So, I have a pretty strong stomach for this kind of stuff. There aren't really games that disturb me that much outside of genuinely like illegal child abuse content like Sad Satan, where it's just you can't have that. I'm not risking that. It's like, even like morally, everything considered on the website, nah, just no thank you. There are games I do kind of want to talk about, but YouTube is just not a good fit. I do want to talk about Demonophobia. If you know, you know, but I will say that that game Uncensored does not fly very well on YouTube, and I do want money, so I might do that on a different site. I think I'm going to consider making it like a Patreon exclusive, but I'll have to see. And as for the name of that music, that song is called Skyline Dreaming Adult Swim Bump by Untitled Marauder. I'll put it in the description. I used it a lot for my old bumpers, where I would play like montages of either games I covered on the channel or of that game itself. I changed a lot of the bumper style to make it a little bit more individualistic, a bit closer to Adult Swim. It's still a great song, mind you. I asked for permission. He was very nice, very skilled artist, but I just moved on. User Guy Who Likes Games He Him asks, what is your favorite video game and what is your least favorite video game? I've already mentioned TF2. I don't know if this is my least favorite. Like, it's not really deserving that title, but trying to find a least favorite game, usually people don't put games that are just buggy or broken because people don't really play those games. They put games that they have like a personal grievance with. And that's what I'll do. At least one of my least favorite games, Undertale. I fucking hate Undertale with every fiber of my being, and it makes me mauled so hard. That game is popular and has not only fans but a following. Everything about it is personally just repugnant to me. I hate it. I hate everyone who plays that game religiously, and I hate everything that's come out of it. It has inspired nothing but garbage, which sucks because everything that inspired Undertale is good. Off, Space Funeral, I think, the Mother series, Live Alive, these are all great games. Moon! The anti-RPG, these are all great games. But Toby Fox just made a steaming pile of shit. That game fucking sucks. I have nothing good to say about it except for the fact that some of its music tracks are okay. And that's it. I know that's a very contentious thing to say. People really like Undertale, especially online. But I'm not afraid to go against the grain, okay? You see that one man who says, yes, you're all wrong? That's me. I'm talking about Undertale. This game sucks. I can only hope and pray that Undertale is one of those games that people look on past all the praise and the cocksucking, and people realize, was this game actually good? And I hope it says no. I hope people realize this game sucks. Maybe if I hit 1 million subscribers, I will do a very in-depth, serious video of why I fucking hate Undertale and everything that came out of it. But people don't like when I talk about it, so I'll keep my mouth shut for now. But just know, I hate it more than any other game, any other thing. It might actually be my least favorite. I fucking hate that game so much, and it bothers me so much how it just gets unending praise. Wavely69 asks, how do you manage your time? Writing a script, voicing, editing, and putting a video together can be very time consuming, especially since you put up multi-hour long videos. How do you do it so fast and consistently while tending to your responsibilities? Do you ever have the fear of feeling irrelevant because it might take a while for you to make something of quality? So this is something you can only learn through experience. When I started in January of 2023, it took me a while to put shit together because I was learning like the basics of Premiere. I didn't know how to do stuff. But now that I know how to use the software at like a fairly intermediate level, I know how to use the software, the tools, the trade, it's not that bad. So I'll walk you through the kind of basic steps of what to do. So first you got to choose your game. let's say like, oh, I want to make a video on off. Make a video on off, you know? So what I do, I play the whole game, preferably in as little settings as possible. Just make it big, one big file at a time. Some people like to chop it up into little bits, but whatever helps your creative process works. And I have a lot of time to just sit down and either write notes in this big like video file with audio, or just kind of remember it in like a 2-week period of when I edit. Then after I play the entire game, I start the scripting process. Depending on how long it is, the script can take, I would say the average is about a week, which is like several days entirely spent typing out a script, revising, adding stuff, etc. Maybe 2 to 3 if it's a really long one like Drawn to Life or BlazBlue, but it does kind of depend. Voicing doesn't take that long, so the video I just uploaded recently was Space Funeral. It's about a 40-minute video, so that's like 45 minutes, a little bit more, say just shy of an hour of talking. And what I do is that I let it just run. Every time I flub a line, I just keep it in because I can edit it out in post. So I just chop things up. I use Premiere. What I do now, what I didn't know before. Actually, no, let me rewind, go back to Premiere. I used to go in the fucking trenches, man. All right, where's my Purple Heart of Premiere, man? I was down there. Left me in that fucking tiger cage. I was using some dog shit pirated 2013 version of Premiere that had no fucking audio wavelengths. So you know how I figured out how to chop shit? I did it by ear, which means I listened and just had good reaction time to chop shit up, and it was awful. I had to upgrade because Adobe caught me pirating and I didn't want to pay for the product. So what I managed to upgrade to this is the most recent version. I upgraded, I want to say April. Yeah, April is when I upgraded to all the latest versions of stuff. It's so much more useful because what this version of Premiere has is a text feature where it can transcribe all of your voiced like dialogue and script reading into a script, which is like surprisingly competent and accurate. So what you can do is that you can automatically filter out pauses. This isn't a perfect tool. It works about 85% of the time, so you still need to do some manual like cutting yourself. But what I do is that I put the audio, boost it a little bit because my mic's a bit quiet. Then I equalize it, normalize it, make sure it's all consistent so you don't spike up, things don't go down or up. Then you automatically filter out all the pauses. You can just shove everything together, and then you still have to manually cut out all the flubbed lines and whatnot, which that sucks. I hate flubbing lines. As you can tell from this video, I'm not so good at speaking. It's not exactly my forte. I'm a bit awkward on camera, but when you record in a mic, you can kind of just go up real close like this. It doesn't really matter what your facial expression is, so you can just talk a lot more normally in your little office space or wherever you record. And then when it comes to edit, I just make folders for footage, some game footage, images, sound, just neatly categorize everything with proper names, just so you know what you're pulling. You don't have to look for something specifically for too long. Then just start syncing it all together. Editing is the hardest. Oh, it's not like that. I guess not the hardest, but it is the most time consuming, I will say. That takes easily 2 weeks for something, because I don't work on things every day. I have another job that I work 20 to 30 hours in. So I get about 3 full days out of a week at least to sync everything together and make a video. So that's, I would like to increase my input, but for now this is just what I'm capable of. And yeah, you have to just work around responsibilities. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are days where I get home from work around 5 o'clock, smashed after a 9 to 10 hour shift, and I have to start editing a script or editing a video. It sucks. But hey, it's work. But if you find the job you love, you don't work a day in your life. And it's tiring. I might be complaining. I might moan and groan about YouTube sometimes. But if I wouldn't do this, if I didn't love it, and I really do love every second of doing this, even the voicing, even the editing, I would much rather be doing this, not making as much money, but comfortable and happy in my home versus working some dog shit garbage job at like McDonald's or something. As for the fear of being irrelevant, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it does sneak up on me sometimes, because what YouTube wants, you need to upload like a demon, okay? The competition is fucking crazy. There are so many people in your exact niche. If you do make content or if you want to, there are so many people who are way better than you. And try to picture from their perspective. You put yourself in someone else's shoes where it's like, there's 2 videos on Yume Nikki or off. Am I gonna watch the consistent guy I know and at least I've heard people say is good who has 700,000 views? Or am I gonna take a shot on a guy with a shitty thumbnail who doesn't have good audio? What's gonna happen? They're gonna click immediately off. Click. So you really need to kind of pull yourself by your bootstraps and then start out really good, which is not easy to do. So what I honestly recommend, just make a dozen or so videos, figure out what you're doing first, make them messy, make them ugly. It's like being an artist. You're supposed to learn the fundamentals, and there's no way to learn the fundamentals without fucking up, then becoming good. That's what I did. I kept fucking up, then I became arguably not bad. As to how I do this so fast and consistently, well, I just work a lot. I'm kind of a workaholic. I love putting my nose to the grindstone. I really hate lazy YouTubers. I won't be naming people, obviously, but there's a lot of people with a lot of subscribers and views and sponsorships who are some lazy motherfuckers who don't work, which is crazy because this is such an unstable, wonky, temperamental job that you need to be working all the time. But these like fat cats can just kind of sit on their asses and do nothing. It's an evil world we live in where when you're at the bottom, you gotta work your ass off. But if you're like at the 1 million plus subscriber tier, you don't even have to upload your main channel. Just do a commentary channel, reacting to news or like eating food, and you have 100,000 people who will follow you and fund the rest of your life. So you just have to get to that point and eat shit for 5 years. Good luck. Red's YouTuber Raffle says, would you rather be in Human Centipede or in Tusk? So he's referencing 2 body horror movies, Human Centipede, which I think we've all at least heard of, and Tusk, which is a Kevin Smith directed movie about a guy being turned into a walrus, versus Human Centipede, where it's 3 people whose mouths and then I think the colon of the person in front of them are sewed together. Honestly, I would probably rather be Human Centipede because I feel like if someone... You could probably save the people in Human Centipede. I feel like it's actually not that hard. They were kind of overreacting, to be honest. Like, if like skilled surgeons, like if this made the news, people would probably fund the separation thing and like to free you. All you gotta do, because it's just like your mouth, just like that on the other end. Or unless you're lucky enough to be the guy in the front and not the person in the middle who consumes the waste of the first person and then sharts out that into the mouth of the last person. So I feel like, I'm pretty sure it's just like lips to colon, so you can just snip that off. Granted, you'll be disfigured, but imagine Tusk. You're turned into a walrus. How do you save someone like that? I think the only way to save someone like that from surgery is to boom, is to put them out of their misery. So yeah, no, I'd rather be Human Centipede. Next question. Do you play Dungeons & Dragons or any similar tabletop role-playing games? No, I do not. I've played 1 game of D&D 4th edition, I want to say, and it was such a fucking horrible experience that I honestly don't think I'll ever touch D&D. And I'm being completely serious about that. It was a genuinely terrible memory. Maybe I'll tell that story somewhere like privately or something, but no, I don't play any tabletop stuff. Between you and me, it's for nerds. Yeah, I've plenty of my friends have before, so I at least kind of know what the whole deal is. I do like some games based it off. Planescape Torment is very cool, even if I don't care about D&D. But no, I don't really play tabletop, probably never going to. Super Columbine Massacre RPG when? From NailBunny42. It's not a bad idea, actually. If you don't know, that's an RPG Maker game that seems kind of like a callous parody of the Massacre it's obviously going off of. But there is a little bit of depth, and the story of its developer is very interesting, that it's actually not a bad idea for a video. I would just have to look into it and probably see if I can fly under censors, because YouTube really doesn't like when you cover that topic. I don't know why. It's such a family-friendly thing to talk about. Moonstone Universe asks, would you be up to analyzing more mysterious video game levels like you did with Wet Dry World, because I would love an analysis of the Fire Temple from Ocarina of Time. Now, individual video uploads? No, most likely not. I like a lot more longer stuff, the compilations, but that's not a bad idea. Analyzing just very strange locations in video games, it's actually not a bad idea. I think I might write that down, actually. Thank you, Moonstone Universe, with your Goku profile picture. Jordan Boyd asks, you brought up the Splatterhouse 2010 reboot in your Harvester video. Would you be able to cover that eventually? Answer that, I'm not sure. I didn't play much of the Splatterhouse reboot. I did pick it up on Xbox 360 a little bit around that time, because that was time when the Xbox 360 game market, some games were getting a lot more expensive because the digital store place went down. And I am a physical video game collector. I don't really talk about it much on the channel, but I have a big shelf of like stupid video games I love to collect and waste more money than I'm comfortable admitting on. But maybe there will come a one day, just not anytime soon. What music you like? You fuck with prog rock? I don't know much about prog rock, Marcus DeMario 42, unfortunately. Not really my genre. I used to be a big metalhead in like the early 2010s when I was in high school, which, I mean, you can probably tell just by the way I look. I was kind of a metalhead. But right now more, I have a weird taste. I'm into a lot of ambient stuff, like Aphex Twin, Boards of Canada, kind of stuff like that. Okay, this is all beating around the bush. I listen to video game OSTs. I don't listen to real music. Please don't tell anyone my secret. I can't speak to my family anymore about it. I do listen to a smattering of country, I'll say. Used to not like country growing up. Grown to appreciate it a lot more. You're going to be seeing a lot more country. It's like the next big genre on the radio for some reason. But I do have a varied music taste. I like a little bit of everything. There's not a lot of genres where I don't like it outright. There's always at least one thing that I like. Used to listen to a lot of, I don't even know what you call it, like alternative rap. I used to be the fucking biggest Suicide Boys fan in high school. It was unbelievable. That was like part of my whole discography. Him and like XXXTentacion were like the two people, the two bands, artists, musicians, whatever I listened to in high school. I listened to so much X that to this day I still say on jaw. It's just a really funny thing to say. Was there a game that made you cry for whatever reason? What was your first console? Thoughts on any anti-visual novels like Doki Doki Literature Club, Class of '09, etc. from VTF the Super? It's a lot of questions, okay. So, as for games that have made me cry, never. I have never cried to a video game. Last time I cried to a piece of media ever I was 8 years old watching WALL-E for the first time. Aside from that, no tears have been shed, I'm proud to say. There were games that have certainly made me depressed and despondent. Like, I remember I was very depressed at the ending of the original Watch Dogs. Amazing game if you haven't played it, by the way. There was a visual novel that made me very sad at the end. I think Tokyo Chronos, I think it was. VR game, very underrated. As for my first console, there were plenty of consoles I played as a little kid. I think the Super Nintendo was the first one I ever really touched. Then it was the Game Boy Advance, but the first one that was really mine, actually, that was probably the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, no, it was the Game Boy Advance. That was like the first one that I got as like a gift, and that was definitively mine. I had other consoles. I had a Wii, a DS at some point that replaced the GBA. I had a PlayStation 2 for like over a decade. And then the first one that I bought with my own money, because I got a lot of these as hand-me-downs from either my dad or as gifts. But the first one that I scrounged all my cash together and bought was a PlayStation 3. The slim version, I'm pretty sure. And do you want to know what games it came with? Because I got it secondhand in like 2013, years after it was popular. It came with Rage, Dead Space 2, and Kane and Lynch 2. I don't recommend any 12-year-old plays these games. Do you want to know which my favorite was? It was Kane and Lynch 2! Do not let your child play that game ever, it is fucking horrifying. Do you plan on doing channel members or just Patreon? Channel members, what is that? Okay, I actually didn't know that existed, I'm gonna be honest. So, if I ever do something about channel members, I will let it be known. I mean, I'll be transparent. I love receiving money. Believe me, I do like being paid. But I just don't know what to do that's fun for members. I might put some, like, fancy emotes of, like, the Mario face, like Ethan Ralph or something. I'll have to think about it. What are your favorite movies? Well, I mean, I don't watch a lot of movies. I am very basic, but probably my favorite movie is No Country for Old Men. It's a very common pick, Cormac McCarthy, like, adaptation, not original, but damn, if you've seen that movie, it really is that good. Trust me. Felix the Catfish asks, thoughts on the latest pill streams and Ralph living in a shack in Mexico? Any other dramas catch your eye? Oh boy. So, this question might fly over someone's heads, but I'm a bit of a Ralpha male. If you haven't heard, I like the exploits of Ethan Ralph, former Gamergate journalist turned rage pig condemned to be living in a shack in Mexico. And so he kind of just lost his career, and so he was a successful YouTuber. He made more than me. He was actually like fairly popular. He was with Mr. Medicare, if you remember him, like Andy Worski before he was on the Kino Casino. And this fucking moron doing a charity stream, he's like, all right, what if I host a Holocaust debate on a charity stream? That got his channel taken down, and he's just been on like a downward spiral of losing everything. And it's just, oh my god, he's lost everything. He's lost both his wives. He's been divorced several times. He has 2 children. He's a deadbeat father. He loves popping pills in his tin shack in Mexico. Everything about him is just so funny. And that really came to a boil in my Harvester video because I mentioned Ralph quite a bit. He was on my mind. He kind of fell off for the first half of this year. He came back for a couple pill streams though, which was Kino. As to any other dramas catching my eye, honestly, no. I don't follow most drama too much. I try and like distance myself from it a little bit, at least for my content. It's not really got anything to do with it. Ralph is kind of an exception. I was following Review Tech USA for a while though. Everyone's heard of Review Tech USA, big channel. Wow, that guy fell off a deep dark cliff. June the King made a video on it. I think it was June. It's dark, man. Review Tech is fucked. Mega Drive Master says, thoughts on Sega? Well, I can first and formally tell you, I loved Sonic's 1 to 3, 2 to 3, actually no, 2 to 3 growing up. Those are my shit. I played, I want to say Sonic Mega Collection on PlayStation 2, Mega Collection Plus. I also really like Sonic Labyrinth. I really don't know why, that game sucks. But, and then I moved on to like the other PlayStation 2 games, Sonic Heroes, Sonic Riders, Shadow, and then Unleashed was so much butt cheeks that I stopped playing the franchise for like over a decade. Got a bit more into it. I've got a little more experience of Sega under my belt, but that's kind of all I knew Sega for most of my life was just, oh, those guys made Sonic, which I feel like most people do as well. But now that I'm older, wiser, they own Atlas, or they publish Atlas, I think. I don't know, they have some kind of relationship with Atlas. I love SMT, not a big fan of Persona. I don't know, Persona's just really slow, characters aren't very good, combat is usually a step down from most SMT games. Like, I literally dropped Persona 4. After the whole Teddy thing, I stopped playing the game, to be honest. It kind of sucks. Well, Sonic is kind of irrelevant now. All his games are bad, so Sega's actual new mascot is Yakuza. I played maybe 30 minutes of Yakuza 0, and I have, like, no thoughts on it. I'll probably play most of those games because they're dirt cheap on PlayStation 4, though I have heard the original PS2 versions are better, like Yakuza 1 and 2. I heard Kiwami's a bit eh. I'm taking Svit's word for it, so take it with a grain of salt, but maybe I'll take his advice and play Yakuza 2 on PS2 one day. The first game does have Mark Hamill as Gojo, though. Very cool. Gotta keep it going, so Deadly Premonition 2 when? Alright, my buddy Lord Crimson 908 with the Tales of Zillia 2 profile picture, he's been asking about Deadly Premonition for a while, so I do have a treat for him. Just wait there. Both Switch versions of Deadly Premonitions 1 and 2, and I plan on fully playing these games. Most likely gonna review the first one, probably the second one as well. It took forever to find the first one, like months for a reasonable price. Second game's like 30 bucks anywhere, but those videos will happen. Deadly Premonition 1 absolutely will happen. 2, most likely, but I am playing these games. They are very fun games, trust me. Sniffing Markers Enjoyer asks, cereal with or without milk? The world needs to know the truth. Also, favorite cereal? Without milk. I don't like milk at all. I hate milk, actually. I only eat that shit dry. Also, as my favorite cereal, it's gotta be a mix between the boring, like I like plain Cheerios, I also like Honey Nut Cheerios. Not sure if America has this brand. We have something called Crave, which is this like disgusting, chocolatey, sugary infused garbage that people eat. It is so bad for you, but it tastes so good. Oh, but I actually do buy quite a bit of very plain, healthy, boring cereal, very dry, because you can eat a lot of it for cheap and it fills up your belly. Feuder1987 asks, what happened to the 3D Monster Maze video? So this is a bit of a weird question that I had uploaded a video on 3D Monster Maze and I took it down about 2 days after. And that's because I honestly just felt like it wasn't up to my standard. I took almost 3 weeks for a 20-minute video that wasn't even good. It wasn't even a good video, it sucked, to be honest. Like, I felt like it was just sloppy, I didn't spend a lot of time doing stuff, and it kind of embarrassed me, to be honest. So it is on my Patreon, it is unlisted, so if you have it, do whatever you want with it, but maybe I'll do another take on that video, make it a bit nicer. I don't know, like it just didn't, I didn't like it, I hated it. Scourge's Optimus Prime YouTube asks, do you play Halo? So I was an Xbox fanboy, an Xbox 360 fanboy for several years. All my multi-platform games were 360, but I never really played Halo. I played Halo 3's multiplayer, and that's it. I haven't been interested in playing the first couple Halo games. I don't even own the original Halo, to be honest. So one day I will pick it up and play it, just not sure when. Apple asks, are you ever going to make a video retrospective on Lisa the Painful? I actually haven't played any of the Lisa games. I do plan on it. Most likely videos will be made, even if it's it's an RPG Maker game that gets a lot of videos made on it. But I definitely will be at some point, just not anytime soon. Okay, it's been like an hour and a half. You know what? I'm sick of being on camera. My voice is shot. It's gotta end here. it's gotta go. It's gotta go. So if you've been watching this long, which I feel like nobody should, this is a very filler upload, just 50,000 subscribers, nothing special, but thank you. I know people hear that so much, but thank you. My giant forehead thanks you too. It is such an honor and a treat to be here that it still stuns me to this day, and it doesn't even feel real sometimes. You know, not everyone likes everything I have to upload or everyone watches it, but the fact people are here, that 50,000, over 50,000 by this point, have chose to say yes. That genuinely does mean the world and back. So, thank you. I'll see you later.